Welcome to the Accessible Hunter Podcast. I'm Greg Trainer, along with my co-host Mike Hudson, and today we're joined with a really special guest, Roy Davis from down in Alabama. Mike, what's going on in South Carolina, brother?
Hey man, we're doing pretty good. Right now the weather is still bipolar, dude. It's a lot warmer right now. We're getting a little bit of rain, but I think next week they're talking about we might see some more snow again. So I just don't get it, man. This year has been bizarre, dude.
It went from 60 degrees this week to freezing rain here. So I think we're getting that storm all up the East Coast, and then it's supposed to go up to 50 degrees today. But I'll take rain over snow any day.
Oh, no doubt. No
No.
doubt. But yeah,
It's
man, we're just trying to figure out what we're gonna do and how to dress. You never know.
carry a hoodie all the time in the van. That's my motto anymore for this winter. Roy, we really appreciate you coming on the podcast, and thanks so much, man. It's nice to meet you in person. I followed in person, but it's on Zoom. But I appreciate you sending in a couple of your deer pictures this year to Accessible Hunter and sharing your story. And welcome to the podcast, man. Would you like to tell people a little bit about yourself?
Thank you. Like I said, it's we're having kind of the same weather here in Alabama. It's been 80 the last 2 days. Went from freezing cold last 2 weeks to the last 2 days 80. I actually hunted this morning and it's 65 degrees this morning. So because our hunting season doesn't go out till Monday, so
Yeah.
it was it's definitely a different thing when I'm in t-shirt and shorts this morning hunting,
Right. Right.
camoed
Yeah,
up.
yes, sir. Our October 31st up here, it's supposed to be really, cold and snow, and the rut's supposed to be in. And I was hunting in a t-shirt here in Pennsylvania on Halloween. It was a crazy year for weather for us, for sure.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely bipolar this year. It's been hard to pinpoint these deer down, but I've been very blessed to get two good ones this year. So
That's one of those things too, Roy. You know, you said it. If it's confusing us, the weather's definitely confusing these deer. You know, it's turning them off on their breeding cycles and all this different. You know, the change in the weather. They don't know if they want to bed down or get up or what they want to do.
yeah, I had a little 4 pointer chasing yesterday evening, and here it is. Last week of season, usually our rut's the week of Christmas. Here in
Yeah,
Tuscaloosa, and it was. So we're about a month off. The rut really kicked into high gear about 2 weeks ago when I killed that deer. It was during the rut. He was chasing those in. So
Man, we were kind of teasing Roy about his college uh, football team there, and I was giving these guys a little bit of grief about Penn State, and they actually do a big study here in Pennsylvania. Penn State does with track and deer, and that first week in November, a buck will get up and move, over 2 miles a day during that time, and it's just amazing how the weather can affect deer, and you actually see it on these collared deer with the weather whenever it's warmer or cold, and definitely makes a difference.
oh yeah, it sure does. It's been making a move late the last 3 days, right before dark, the last 3 days. So
yeah,
Oh yeah.
and very little movement this morning, just because it's so warm. So
yeah. Roy, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about you and how you ended up in a wheelchair. If you're okay with that.
oh yeah. Well, like I said, I was 2 years old and I was in a car accident February 24th, 1981, and down in Florida, visit my grandparents, and we were out driving. My grandfather, my dad, me, and my uncle, and had a fire truck run a red light with no lights or sirens on and hit us and killed my grandfather, paralyzed me from the waist down. I died 3 times on the operating table from internal injuries, but lots of other head injuries and broken bones and stuff. But spent a couple months in the hospital, but been very blessed to recover and be able to get out and enjoy the outdoors now and rest of my life. So, but
Roy,
you know,
Roy having a spinal cord at such a young age, what was it like going to school and kind of growing up? My spinal cord injury happened whenever I was 31, so much later in life. But what was it like for you as a young man and going through school and high school and all that?
Well, it was a lot different than probably your experience and a lot of other people because, but when I was paralyzed, there wasn't even the American Disabilities Act hadn't even been passed yet.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a lot of places, even like McDonald's stuff, didn't have wheelchair ramps. A lot of places didn't have handicap parking. So, it definitely made it harder. School was, they didn't have a lot of the stuff they do now for accessibility and stuff. There really wasn't accessible bathrooms and stuff like that. So, it was definitely was a lot more of a challenge than what it is for people today that are paralyzed and stuff just because of the equipment, the technology now they have. I mean, even wheelchairs that there wasn't a big heavy wheelchairs back then, and now we've got lighter, nicer wheelchairs. So it was definitely a challenge growing up, being paralyzed compared to what it is for people nowadays and stuff. It was definitely a challenge going to school. You had the stigma that there was something wrong with you a little bit for some kids, and stuff like that. So it was definitely a challenge growing up, being paralyzed at such an early age and in the 80s and early 90s and stuff. It was definitely a challenge.
Yeah. That's one of the things we do a lot of different podcasts and blogs, and we talk about technology coming a long way. And back in those days, it seemed like it was more hospital related type wheelchairs, and nothing was
Mhm.
really in place, and they didn't pass the American Disabilities Act until 1990. So, even that took some traction time to start putting in curb cuts and, ramps and all that. But Roy, what have you seen over your 40 years of paralysis that has been one of the biggest uh, opportunities for change, and for just you personally, or what has been one of the biggest hindrances?
Well, I think, with the social media and all that stuff, it's definitely put a light on, paralysis, spinal cord injuries, and stuff like that. I think there's a lot more focus in the medical industry and in technology and stuff like that to try to, make things easier for people with paralysis. They're coming out with new things, even chips and stuff now they're implanting in the brain to help maybe gain some more mobility and stuff. And I think that's definitely, social media and stuff and people like me and stuff, I think that get outside and get outdoors and show that you can do some of this stuff. I was a professor at Alabama for 14 years and stuff. So, I think that shed a light on a lot of the young people, showing them that you can get out and do stuff, no matter what your disability is. And I think that's helped to shine a light on a lot of the, stuff that's helped, maybe push forward, getting more stuff for people with disabilities and stuff, Uh, I think the hunting industry's definitely come a long ways. There's a lot more stuff involved for people to make it more accessible and stuff, where it's shooting houses or just, you know, shooting sticks and stuff like that. It's made a lot easier for people, to be able to get out and enjoy the outdoors and stuff.
Absolutely. And I didn't realize you were a professor for 14 years. That had to be just such an opportunity to speak to the young people and, to let them ask questions of you and to, be a conduit that they may not have that opportunity to talk with somebody with a high level spinal cord injury and get your perspective on life. That had to be pretty rewarding on both ends.
It is. It's amazing to be able to talk to, a bunch of 18 and 22-year-olds every day, and which is our
Yeah.
future of our country, and kind of get around what a little bit of the stigma about, how to be around people with paralysis and stuff, and let them know that that even if you don't have a disability, that you're gonna have tough times in life, but you're gonna be able to overcome. Well, it's just gonna take a lot of hard work, and I think that's was one of the most rewarding things, having a lot of your students come up and say, "Hey, I've enjoyed being around you and taking your class because it showed me that I can go do stuff too, no matter what comes up in life." So
Yes,
I,
sir.
I really enjoyed that part. So
Roy, I truly appreciate the fact that you talked about inclusion. You talked about getting on with life despite an injury. Don't let that get in your way. Don't change the mindset. It's crazy to think about life now in 2025 and how different it is now compared to the earlier days. And you're right. I got hurt the same year as Christopher Reeves in 1995. And so, with the Dana and Christopher Reeves Foundation, that brought a lot of light to it. Him being Superman, he really pushed a lot of advocacy stuff. I think we still got a long way to go as far as disability advocacy, but man, it has come a long way. I appreciate the fact that you continuing to serve your community, and get out here and teach and mentor these kids. And it's not about hey, look at me, pat me on the back, I'm still going. It's also showing them a light that despite an injury or hardship, life's going to be tough whether you're paralyzed or not. You were just blessed enough, and I thank you for taking that opportunity to show those young folks that life's still going to go on, continue to push forward. So
Absolutely. Like I said, I was telling somebody the other day about the recent deer I killed. I said, if that don't show you what you can do and get out and do something, is actually my friend who hunts with me most of the time. He couldn't end up making it that day, and the rut was on, and it was like, well, I really had this deer. I'd seen him the day before, and it's like I really want to get in there and get him. So I decided that hey, I would go on hunting by myself that day, and I had to get out and put my wheelchair together, open the gate, drive through, get back out, shut the gate, drive all the way to the stand, get all my equipment out, the gun and all that stuff, get in there, and was able to, kill that deer, go down there 250 yards and check him out, and, do everything but load him up in the truck, that day by myself, and nobody within 45 minutes away from him. But I said, I wanted that deer bad enough. So, I put in the work to get out there and get him, and stuff. So that's what I told somebody. So that's been a great story the last couple of weeks to tell people, hey, if you want something bad enough, you got to put in the work, but you can do it. So.
And Roy, was that the first solo hunt that you harvested a giant buck like that, or had you been out hunting by yourself before then?
I've been out hunting by myself before, like off of my four-wheeler and stuff, but that's the first time I drove in there, got in the shooting house, got my gun and shooting stick and heater. I took my heater because it was cold that day. It was only 25 degrees at noon that day. And so, to have nobody anywhere near me, usually my buddy hunts with me on another part of my property that I have and stuff, so he's close by, but he was, like I said, there was nobody within 45 minutes of me that day. So it was all on me to get the job done and stuff. So, I was very blessed to be able to land that buck all by myself, and then I'd sit there and wait for him to be able to get there a couple hours later and load it up for me. So, but.
Well, the thing about most of it,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Roy, I cut you off. I was going to say the thing about most of it, man, we can see just in your video the smile you got. I know how exciting that had to be able to get in there, especially after paralysis and some stuff. We have to relearn our lives and our bodies. And, I'm almost 30 years into this. You're 40. Greg's pushing way over 20. But to be able to do something solo like that, there's always going to be that one-off trip. And then you got to kind of nudge him and rub it in his face a little bit about, hey, you see what you missed. You let the handicap guy come down here, and I did all the work and killed the deer. All you got to do is load him.
Oh yeah, that's what my best friend told me. He said, "Well, he always gives me a hard time." He said, "Oh yeah, I always put you on the deer and everything." And I said, "Well, you didn't put me on this deer, I did it all myself."
Well, next year you can guide your buddy, and say, hey, this is how it's done, and kind of give him the business a little bit, because really the hunt is camaraderie. It's dealing with your friends. It's the back and forth. It's the joking around. I know myself, I need a lot of help getting set up, but a lot of times I just want to sit by myself. If I got an opportunity that you can set me up, and then you go to your tree stand and you do your hunt, and we meet up at the end of the night. As long as I have my cell phone and I can use, voice to text, that kind of thing. I enjoy sitting by myself sometimes just for the independence factor. So you have to be so proud of that accomplishment of going out, doing everything yourself.
Well, I am, and like I said, usually I am sitting by myself. But usually we have a couple of elevated stands, and he helps gets me up in there, and then I do sit myself, and he goes to his place. But like I said, this time I did it all by myself. Even got in the stand by myself. Of course, this was staying on the ground, but still, usually he drives me in there in his truck. We get out, and so like I said, it was very rewarding to know I could do it all by myself, and able to land my biggest buck actually that I've ever landed. So was that buck. So that was pretty
That's
special.
That's awesome, man. That is very special. And it's one of those unique opportunities where everything fell into place at the time, to be able to do it solo, get in there solo, safely do it, and then, able to get out there and make a good harvest, and then him coming in later on to help you clean it up. Um, but I know other than just outdoor activities and all that, Roy, you do a lot with community groups and some other stuff. What else do you do other than hunting? I can see the deer in the back. I know you're an avid outdoorsman and definitely one that makes some good harvests.
Yeah, I actually had a sister she was a month old at the time of my car accident, and she got diagnosed at 2.5 years old with leukemia, and unfortunately passed away eight
Oh
years
wow.
later at the age of 10 at St. Jude's Hospital. So I actually have built. You can see on my Facebook profile, I built a 1934 Chevy Coupe. Me and my dad built it together about 20 years ago. ZZ Top car, because I was a big ZZ Top fan. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's the ZZ Top car, and so I actually built it from the ground up, from the frame up and stuff. And so this year's 20th year, I do a car show in memory of her for St. Jude's, and we have raised over the last 19 years $500,000. We raised $60,000 last year, and in her memory. So we had around 700 cars the last 2 years each year, so 1,400 cars the last 2 years involved. So we're geared up on that, working on that to start that in August. Everybody, she passed away August the 19th, which actually is my birthday. So she actually passed away on my 13th birthday. So we do this in memory of her, and trying to
Oh, boy.
trying to help that side of the community too, the people with cancer stuff, kids with cancer. So I try to work a lot with St. Jude's, helping them raise money, and then I do a lot with going and speaking to several different rehabilitation centers in town and stuff in Birmingham and places like that to talk to people who's recently been injured in car wrecks or whatever, hunting accidents and stuff like that. So
Well, Roy, St. Jude's is such a wonderful organization. They do amazing work. I mean, everybody's heard of them. But thank you for all of your donations and hard work over 20 years. And I'm sorry to hear about your sister, but you've taken a tragedy and turned that into something positive. And you're working to help people in the community, and that's just awesome, man.
I appreciate it. Like I said, it's rewarding at the end of the day when you count that money after the show's over. You know that you know it's going to help some kids and their families, and hopefully at some point maybe that money is used to find a cure for cancer and stuff. That it's very rewarding. And I'm very happy to do it for the cancer community. So
Over time, that it seems to be a rolling theme. No pun intended, but it seems like a lot of guys and girls in wheelchairs, they just have such big hearts. And I don't think that, I think that we were those type people before our injuries. Of course, you were only 2 when your injury occurred, but I suspect that heart of giving and wanting to do was already there. And then, you're giving back in the college format. You're giving back over here with St. Jude, and man, it's one of those things. I don't really care to make things a focus on me. I love to see people smile, get back outdoors, advocate on ways we can make things better. And Roy, I'm just excited to be able to chat with you a little bit and highlight you on all that stuff. And it's not to sound condescending at all, but man, I appreciate you taking time just to come on today with between hunting and all the advocacy work and thank you, man. I mean that from the bottom of my heart.
well, I appreciate it. Like I said, it's an honor. I was very privileged y'all to asked me to do this. And like I said, it's if it helps one person continue on or makes them grow in their life and get out and maybe try something new, then it's like I said, it's never going to be about us. It's going to be, like I said, I'm very grateful for all the people that helped me through life, because I wouldn't have been here if it wasn't for, a lot of people able to do, like I said, if it wasn't for my buddy helping get me in the shoot houses, and, my parents helped me get out there. I fish a lot, and, get into, my dad helping me build my car. I mean, so there's a lot of people that's went in to get me to where I am now 44 years later, and stuff. So,
You,
so
you
I feel
know,
like back,
Roy, when we get to talk with people like you, Mike and I feel the exact same way. We've received a lot of assistance from people over the years getting us back outdoors. And that's why we do what we do. We try to talk with people and try to advocate. Mike's got his, 501c charity Roar, and he does a lot in South Carolina. And it's just such a pleasure. We're so blessed to be able to talk with people like you. It's such an amazing story, and we see it all over the country where somebody is, you know, disabled, but it doesn't not only stop them, but you turn into an advocate. You change lives in your community. You're paying it forward to the next generation. It's just such a blessing to be able to talk with guys like you all over the country and see what you're doing and learn about your stories.
Yeah, thank you very much. Like I said, I just I think if everyone did a little something in life, that we would accomplish a lot more in life. If we all helped each other out, quit thinking about ourselves and stuff, and try to help each other out. I mean, it's amazing what we could do in this world if everybody just did a little extra. So
You hit the nail on the head just a minute ago. Greg said it as well. We're a very tight knit, small community, and then when we're able to come on here and talk about accessible hunting, and it's not just about hunting and harvest. We say this almost every podcast. It's trying to highlight the fact that somebody else has took something that our mainstream society would say is a catastrophic injury, that is going to be completely debilitating, and they turned it around. And over and over and over again, we're seeing a theme where the folks that we bring on the podcast have taken what would break normal folks down, and they've gone above and beyond, and all they want to do is just keep doing it. They enjoy life, and it's not about a kudos or a hey look at me moment. It's really about how can we better our community one person at a time.
oh yeah, I said I never want it to be about me. I always want it to be about the cause, the situation, and
Yeah.
like I said, if it helps one person, me getting out there and seeing me doing stuff for St. Jude's, or getting out there and killing a deer or a turkey or catching a big fish, and it gets somebody out there outdoors, and it's all worth it in the end. So.
Roy, I am a little bit jealous. I mean, here in Pennsylvania, we can only get one buck. You got two of the biggest bucks I've seen in my lifetime. I'm a little bit jealous. I gotta tell you, I'm jonesing to maybe get down south to hunt in Alabama, or down in South Carolina with you and Mike, because you guys are killing some big deer, and I'm sitting on the sidelines here in PA looking at 6-pointers and does most of the time.
Well, see, that's why the South is better, right? That's what.
I tried to tell him earlier, Roy. It's not just about the college football. It's also those guys up north. They grow big deer, but then they give them stipulations they can only kill one. Us Southern boys, man, we want to shoot a good many of them. We try to keep all them deer in check.
That's right. That's right. We're allowed to kill 3 in Alabama. So I'm originally from Georgia. I actually killed a smaller 8-pointer there in Georgia this year. So I've been blessed to have my best year ever and kill three deer this year. So it's been very
That's
blessed.
awesome.
Man, that's great. And I just want to get it on record on the podcast before we hit record this morning. I was giving these boys a little schooling about a little university called Penn State, and how they did this year. Neither one of them liked it too much, but they were good sports about it.
Oh yeah. It's
That's
all
right.
fun and games.
We'll give you one every now and then.
There you go. That's what I told him too, Roy. We try to keep those northern guys out of some of that, but every once in a while we let them slide in.
That's right.
That's right. Well, Roy, do you want to send us out with anything? Is there a way that people can contact your, how they can donate to your charity? We'll definitely put some links on, but is there anything else that you wanted to talk about today that we didn't?
Well, I just like to say that anybody out there watching, don't let nothing stop you. The wind, the weather, whatever, your disability. Just get out there and enjoy the outdoors. I mean, it's such a freeing place to be able to, get out there and hunt and fish and spend time in nature. It really does your mind good to get out there and your mind off of what the rest of the world's going on and stuff. So, and you can check out my Facebook. There's a link to the car show there and stuff, and I'll send that to you, and just get out there and be happy and free in the outdoors.
Well, man, I'm gonna tie in with what Greg was saying just a minute ago. Thank you again, Roy, for taking time with us today and just being able to highlight you. I know it's a short little podcast. It's from a good standpoint. It's sincere in that we want to highlight you and we want to highlight more people in society. We'll definitely tag up the links and everything that you guys got going on down in Alabama. We come through Birmingham a good bit, and so when I'm down there next time, I'm gonna blow you up and try to catch with you. And you're not too far from where we slide through.
That's right.
Would love to get with you. But thank you again for all you do. We will definitely tag up your links and look forward to seeing more of those big deer and turkey and fish, man.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank y'all for inviting me, and like I said, as long as we're all working together for a common cause, that we're gonna make a difference. So.